Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Alright, we are going to try canning video. Never done one before. I've watched them plenty of times, but I just want to show you what's entailed in this. And we are going to be canning the tomatoes tonight so I don't lose my harvest. And it's going to take a water bath canner, which is this big pot right here. And let me show you what else I have going. This is the big water bath canner. I'm getting the water boiling. You can see the rack down in there that will hold my jars. Okay. There is the big pot of tomatoes that I have to get done tonight. I am going to show you how I process the tomatoes to get to that point. We're going to need canning or pickling salt and lemon juice. Another item you will need are the wide mouth lids. These are from Ball and they are BPA free. This is what they look like. I'm sure everybody has seen them before. And what you do is you put them in a pot of water, clean pot of water. I just put them in here. And they are going to be, I'm going to heat up the water. This is going to soften the wax around the rims, and that will help seal the jar. Okay, so the dishwasher's done, so my jars are in there. Got a cutting board and a very, very sharp knife. Here's my tub of tomatoes, and all you're going to do is put a small, with a very sharp knife, put a small X in the bottom of your tomato. You're just going to do a little crisscross in the bottom of your tomato so that when you heat them up, this will start peeling. It takes 30 to 60 seconds in the hot water. We're going to blanch these tomatoes. And that's all there is to it. And by the way, you can see that some of my tomatoes are not perfect. That's okay. Once you peel them, they're not beautiful, but once you peel them, you can cut the bad spots off. These are fresh from the garden, so that's all I'm going to do. The ones that are too bad that have rot on them, I'm setting to the side because I've waited so darn long, and we'll just discard those ones. Off the bad parts like this, and use the fresh. Put these in a separate container and refrigerate them, so if you want some sliced tomato, we're good with that. This is the next step in processing the tomatoes. These all have the X marks in the bottom of the tomatoes, even if they don't look perfect. Okay? I have a pot of water on to heat. This is going to blanch the tomatoes, and then we will slip the skins off. Normally you would plunge them in an ice cold bath after that, but I want the tomatoes warm because I'm processing them all into hot jars and I want nothing to crack. My water in this pot, which at this point is hot as all get out, it's steaming and ready. So use your pot holder. Once this water comes to a boil, I will show you the next step. Okay, at this point, the ones that didn't have good tops on them, I cut them off. I went ahead and diced up these tomatoes. These will go in the refrigerator. I'll eat these on salads for the next 2 or 3 days. And that part is done. The water is almost boiling. I think you can see that there's bubbles in the water. And let me just grab one more bowl. As these are done, 30 to 60 seconds in the water and they start to peel, then you pull them back out of the hot water, put them into a different bowl. So I'm going to just put a few in. Whoops. And we will watch for the skins to split. Pull them out and put some more in. 30 to 60 seconds. It's possible that I didn't wait long enough for the water to boil. These have not split their skins. I'm going to double check. You can see how easily that peels. So these are ready. I'm going to pull these out, put them in my extra bowl. There's a split skin. That's what you're looking for. And we're just going to keep doing this process until this bowl is empty. And over here is the rings and my tools. And in the dishwasher still are my jars. We'll be getting to those in just a couple of minutes. Okay, now that the tomatoes are cooled off, I am going to take my knife. You can see that the skins have split nicely. And we're just going to peel them. And cut out the core. Some of these will have more seeds than others. So if it gets a little too juicy, see I'm cutting out the core now. And any bad spots. And then all I'm going to do is do a rough cut and drop them in the pan. I rinsed this out. This is the one that I used to blanch them. And you just peel all the skins off and cut out the core. Slipped and I've got them in my pot. I'm just going to crush them up a little bit so I can break them down. I'm going to put these on the stove top to cook for a little bit. I've got my water heated up, not only in my electric kettle in case I need to add a touch of water, but also in the water bath canner so that we are almost ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put them on the stove top on medium-high heat so they can start going. And now I'm going to empty the dishwasher and bring out my jars that are ready. This water bath canner holds 7 quarts. And 7. I am going to leave the rest in the dishwasher so that they stay sterilized and warm. We'll put this to the back. I'm going to bring you guys over here so you can see the next step. I have a clean tablespoon, and in each of these jars I am going to put 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Alright, that's done. Then I don't like to add salt a lot to my stuff, so I'm going to use my 1/4 teaspoon. This is the pickling or canning salt. I'm going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt to each container. So don't feel like you have to use it. And what I'm going to do is take my huge pan full of tomatoes over there and start filling up my jars. So here's my already done tomatoes. This is the cup that fits perfectly over every one of these jars. You grab a ladle and carefully you ladle in your tomatoes. And then when we're alright, you guys, I have a confession to make. That big pot of tomatoes was smelling funky. I had left it out of the refrigerator for a few hours to warm up so that it didn't crack when I put it into the water bath. And because it smelled kind of almost like it had an alcohol, or I don't even know how to describe the smell, I went ahead and poured them down the drain, and it's just better to be safe than sorry. So I'm not going to get too much out of this batch. I won't need the 11 jars like I thought I did, and so we'll just once these have warmed up a little bit more, I will ladle these into the jar and we'll continue from there. Unfortunately, I put off this video for far too long and I wasted 3/4 of my harvest. I'm going to get a different ladle because that one is a little smelly from the, I think what they were, rotten tomatoes. So this is what you do. We're going to start with the closest jar. Two tablespoons of lemon juice, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt because I like to control our salt. And then for tomatoes, what you want to do is fill it up to about 1/2 inch to the top of the jar. So, and you move to the next jar. I'm going to set this one over, fill up the next jar. Some of the canning kits, and from this notch, the lowest notch here, to this notch is 1 inch. So it is measured at 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch. So when you place it on the smallest notch, your level will be 1 inch from the top of your can. We need 1/2 inch. Is definitely 1/2 inch. Okay. So we are just below 1/2 inch. We're at about 3/4 inch. They call this a head space. Yep, 3/4 inch head space. Okay. Then what you want to do, you can either take a wet paper towel and then a dry paper towel, but you need to clean the top of your jars so that there is a good seal and no liquid from the rubber on your jar tops. And while you're doing this, you can also feel to see if there's any chips in the top of your can. You do not want any kind of chipped glass. If you do have any kind of chipped glass on your rim, then that jar is null and void from now on. So we were able to get 3 quarts because of my mistake instead of several quarts. Then we take this nifty little tool that has a magnet on the end of it, pull up your jar lid out of your hot water. Your seal is going to now be pliable and will seal beautifully to your jar top. Or pause, but you need to take either this tool, I've got this particular tool, and you need to go in and just go around your edges and make sure all your air bubbles are out. Okay? So I happen to have another lid that is heated up and ready to go. So I'm just going to grab that out of the pot. This one is now done. It is important to make sure that you've done that. You have to get all your air bubbles out. So I'll take my jar lifter, since the hot water level is rising, pull my other 2 jars out, uncap them, and make sure I am getting all the extra air out. If you need to, you re-wipe your lid. Okay. Because I have extra lids, I'm going to go ahead and pull in new ones, and finger tight. Take your jar lifter. Make sure you've got a good grip, not on the rings, but around the base of the jar, and get it put back into your water bath canner. Now, for the sake of showing you guys how to do this, and this is very basic, I'm going to go ahead and process these jars instead of freeze them. 3 quarts really isn't a great bounty because it takes 85 minutes in this processor to can these. Now, you know, in my electric kettle, I went ahead and I'm just going to throw these 3 lids away because I'm not sure that the wax wasn't compromised. They're pretty cheap at the store, so I'm okay with that. Make sure that you burp your jars before you put the lids on them. And then what I'm going to do, you need 1 to 2 inches of water above. Let me pull you closer so you can see this. You need 1 to 2 inches of water above your jars. We are almost at 1 inch. I'm going to go ahead and refill my tank. And I'm going to go ahead and pour more water in. Measure. We are at least 1.5 inches now, so that's good. Put our lid back on here and bring it up to high heat. And we're going to keep watching this pot until it comes to a full rolling boil. And that's when we start our processing time. 85 minutes. Now, 85 minutes for me, that is the minimum that you can do it. And it's based on your altitude from sea level. Where I live in Michigan, we're at 686 feet above sea level. So my minimum is 85 minutes. For every 100 feet past 1,000, and you guys are going to have to check this for yourselves, you have to add additional time to your boiling process. All right, I'll be back. Okay, as you can see, I have done most of the cleanup and pretty sure you can hear that the dishwasher is running. Water is boiling, full rolling boil. I just set Alexa for 85 minutes. When it's done, and as you can see, it's 9 o'clock at night. Thank God for bangs, huh? Drank one earlier, and I have energy for days. I think this is most awake, even at 9 p.m. that I've been in 2 weeks. So, we'll be back in 85 minutes. All right. Timer just went off for 85 minutes. What I'm going to do is shut the burner off, take the lid off, let this cool off for a little bit. Sorry for the loud noises. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is go ahead over here to the sink. I've already scrubbed the pot out, and I think I'm going to pull a little bit of this liquid out. And before you pull these, and you have to be super careful, do not, again I repeat, do not tip them side to side as you are pulling them out of the hot water, or you will get sprayed and it will not be a pleasant experience. Trust me, I've learned the hard way. I'll go ahead and reset the timer for about 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and pull the jars out, set them up on a placemat. I think I'll double this because you don't want to set them on a cool or cold surface, which I have granite countertops. It'll be doubly insulated, and then we will listen for the ping to make sure that these are sealed completely and properly. It has been, geez, like 11 minutes, I guess. So here we go. Come over here. You need to make sure you're grabbing the right end. And this is the end that will grab your cans. I did empty it quite a bit so don't grab it around the lid. Grab it from the glass jar. Do not tilt. Bring it over. No cooled countertops or cool countertops, since you're bringing a red hot product. Separate them a little bit so that, and hopefully your room is not too chilly. You don't want that either. And just go ahead and grab the last one. We need to be able to have air circulating between the jars. This liquid at the bottom is natural. It's okay. You can expect it. And if you see a few bubbles on the jars, around the edges, near the top, possibly, that's okay too. So there we go. Unfortunately, only 3 quarts of homegrown tomatoes for the winter.